and welcome to TCM Sunday School. Now, if you remember last week, I bought Milo a new train for his train set. So we decided we'd build a bit of a train track and give it a go. Now, what I haven't told Milo is that there's a secret button to this. Yes, let me show you, look. Oh, look at that! That's fantastic! Do you want to have a go? See if you can turn it on. Right, there you go. Well, would you believe it? Now, Milo has got some homework to do. He's got some spellings to do right now. So I've agreed that we would have a little play with the train set, but then Milo, you promised, didn't you, that you would do your homework. So we're going to do his spellings. And maybe you could help him a little bit, but there's your pen, Milo. So you go over there with your piece of paper and I will read them out and you can write them down. Okay, so your first one, Milo, is the word why. Okay? Why? Milo, you're supposed to be doing your spellings. There's your pen. There's your piece of paper. I'm going to put the train over here because you're getting distracted. Right, let's try again. Why? What? Where? That's a harder one. You look like you're working hard, Milo. When? And your last one is with. Okay, they all begin with the letter W. Now then, let's have a look. Milo, I thought you were supposed to be doing your spellings. What's this? What's this a picture of? Does that look like me? Milo, this is not good, is it? This is your schoolwork. You're supposed to be concentrating. You're getting too easily distracted. I tell you what, it reminds me a little bit of Solomon. You know, we've been doing Proverbs, haven't we? We've been looking at the book of Proverbs, and King Solomon wrote Proverbs, and it had lots of wisdom in it. Well, Solomon ended up getting distracted, a bit like you did, Milo. And Solomon wasn't listening to God's commands. And so he got things wrong, got distracted, and things didn't go great for Solomon after that. You see, we need to be reading God's word. We need to be listening to it. We need to be sitting down and absorbing it, reading it. So I think that's a good thing to do. So, when we're looking at God's word, can you read that? That says why. Why do we need to read God's word? Well, it's because it teaches us many, many things. It teaches us about who God is. It teaches us about what He is like and His plan for us. Now, the Bible, I guess, would be a little bit like this jigsaw puzzle here. Look, can you see all these pieces, Milo? And they don't make sense, do they? But it's not until we start putting them together that we realise what the jigsaw is going to be. Can you see, Milo? Look at that. It's an elephant. See, God's word is made up of many stories, and some of those we've been looking at in Sunday school. But when you start to put those stories together, a bigger picture falls into place, just like a jigsaw does. And we can understand then what all the different parts of the Bible mean. And we get to know what God's big plan was. And we know that's all about Jesus and his rescue plan to come and save us. Okay, so we've learnt about why now. Oh, we've got another question. Where? Where can you read the Bible? Okay, well, you can read the Bible anywhere, anywhere you like. But I would suggest, Milo, that you read it somewhere where you're not going to get distracted. So perhaps nowhere near your train track. What do you think? So, he's gone to go and get another question. When? When can you read the Bible? You can read the Bible anytime, but do it often. If you can, read it every day because it's so important for us to learn so much about who God is. Oh, he's gone again. He must have another question. With. Who shall we read the Bible with? Well, we can read the Bible with anyone. We can read it with our friends. We can read it with our family. But I would suggest that you sometimes read it on your own as well. That's really important. So, many things to be learning about God's Word. Are these questions ever going to stop, Milo? Okay, what? What should you read? Well, the Bible's a really big book, isn't it? But it's broken down into bits. It's broken down into the books of the Old Testament, the books of the New Testament, and then they're broken down into chapters, and then they're broken down into verses. So perhaps you could ask someone to find you some Bible notes that would help you read the right chapters and the right verses, and then to give you a little explanation about what some of those things mean. Now, Milo, you've asked some really good questions, and it just so happens that your questions were your spellings. And you wrote those, so you got your spellings right, which is great. But I want to add one more question, and it's how. How should we read the Bible? Well, let's have a little dig. When we read the Bible, we need to think about three things, and I want you to remember these symbols, okay? Because there's three things that we can learn when we read the Bible. We should think about what the big idea is. What is it trying to say to us? Then we want to work out, what does it mean? And then we want to work out, what is God saying to me? What is He saying to my heart? Now, to help you, Milo, do that, we're going to read Psalm 23 and we're going to ask those three questions, okay? Now, I've read this to you before, but I love it, so I'm going to use it again, okay? Are we ready, Milo? God is my shepherd, and I am His little lamb. He feeds me, He guides me, He looks after me. I have everything I need. Inside my heart is very quiet as lying still in soft green grass, in a meadow by a little stream. Even when I walk through the dark, scary, lonely places, I won't be afraid, because my shepherd knows where I am. He is here with me. He keeps me safe. He rescues me. He makes me strong and brave. He is getting wonderful things ready for me, especially for me. Everything I ever dreamed of. He fills my heart so full of happiness, I can't hold it all inside. Wherever I go, I know God's never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love will go too. Okay, so let's use our three pictures to help us think about what Psalm 23 is saying. It's saying that the big idea is that God is like a shepherd. He cares for us, He provides for us, and He protects us. Well, what does this mean? It means that we're a little bit like sheep. Now, we've talked about this before, and sheep are a bit silly and they get lost and they get into a lot of trouble and they need looking after. And that's a bit like us. We sometimes do silly things and get into trouble and we need looking after. And what that verse is saying to us is that God is there like a shepherd to protect us, to provide for us, to care for us, and He wants to do that. And sometimes we get worried and we get afraid, but God is there like a shepherd, caring and comforting us, protecting us from anything that might harm us. So what does God want to say to us? What does He want our hearts to learn? Well, maybe you could think about anything that you've been worrying about, anything that you've been afraid of recently. And then think about asking God to help you not be afraid. Asking God to be there for you, making you feel stronger and not so worried or anxious. And because God is a shepherd, He'll do that. So next time you read a passage in the Bible, think about those three symbols, those three questions. What's the big idea? What does it mean? And what does God want to say to my heart? And then when you finish reading that passage, choose one verse. Now, a friend of mine sent me this, and when I think of Psalm 23, I've got this on my desk, and it's got the first verse, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And it's a good reminder for me about how I can think about God being my shepherd, looking after me and protecting me. So maybe you could write out the verse, or you could draw a picture to do with one of the verses that really stood out and meant something to you. That's how we read the Bible. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our lesson today, and I hope you've enjoyed everything that Milo and I have done over the last few weeks. But for now, it's us signing off. Thank you for joining us and being part of TCM Sunday School with us. Bye.